more money and more money and more money. That's what you want, and that's what you get when you listen to the Get Rich Radio with Marshall Silver. Now, here he is, the one, the only, the millionaire maker himself, Marshall Silver.
And Wendy Lipton-Dibner, president of Professional Impact Incorporated and author of the book ShatterYourSpeedLimits.com. If you want a lot of people calling in and saying, hey, where do I get that worksheet? The worksheet you can get at MovePeopleToAction.com. Wendy, we were talking prior to the break about some business development strategies, and I want to know, as a speaker myself, how did you build a multi-million-dollar speaking career without using speakers bureaus or cold calling?
I will absolutely answer that question. I just want to make sure that your listeners have the right location for the worksheet. That worksheet is available at ShatterYourSpeedLimits.com/worksheet.
Thank you for adjusting that.
Not a problem. Okay.
How have you built your career up?
You know, it's so funny. I was just talking with one of my coaching clients today about this because one of the challenges that I see all the time is that small business owners really want to get out there and get their message heard, and so they get out there and they do a bunch of speaking, and they don't know how to parlay on that to make it a huge success. My speaking career has happened because every time I speak, I see that as an opportunity to move people to action. So in the beginning, I did a lot of speaking engagements for free. Quite frankly, I still do that, but now I do it for a different reason in terms of nonprofit and wanting to give back to my community. But the long and short of this is, Marshall, the secret to building a multi-million-dollar speaking career without having to depend on all these other things is to craft your speeches so that you make such an enormous impact on every life you touch that day that everyone in your audience wants to hire you for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and they want to buy your stuff and they want to bring you into their organizations. And every time you open your mouth, you are marketing and making it happen, and that's, quite frankly, all I've ever done.
What do you suppose is the biggest mistake entrepreneurs are making right now in the present economy?
They're not out there speaking. They're resting on their laurels, and they're saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to market online, and I'm going to buy Google AdWords, and I'm going to do all this stuff. People need to meet you. We're in a relationship economy right now, Marshall, and that's why I love what you do so much, because you're out here really connecting with your listeners, and I truly believe that's why you've been so successful. Entrepreneurs or entrepreneur wannabes need to get out there and make a commitment to bring results to people every time they speak. And if they are audience-oriented instead of what's in it for me, they will build their businesses no matter what the economy is doing.
I think a lot of people are these days using social media and thinking that if I'm on Twitter, if I post on Facebook every single day, then my business will do better, obviously not really paying attention to the fact that it's got less to do with their business doing better and interacting like they're at a party, and more to do with them just not confronting the real stuff that they need to do to make their business actually grow.
I agree with you 100%.
You coach a lot of big names in the self-help industry. What do you find is a common barrier to success at that level, at higher level, and how can aspiring gurus avoid making some of those same mistakes that you see again and again?
You know, it's funny. I do have the honor of coaching some huge names in our industry, and where they get stuck is they have built their success on what they do well, and number one, they're not changing with the times. By that I mean they're not speaking on issues that are really important to new audiences. And the other challenge, though, and this is huge, is that they are not results-driven. So they go up on these stages and they say, here's my stuff, and here's what you need to know, and here's everything you need to do, but they don't make it possible for their audiences to go home and take action. They don't take responsibility for that. They say, well, look, you know, I gave you what you paid for. Now, whether or not you use it is up to you. I have a different take on that, Marshall. I think that it's a shared responsibility. And as speakers, it's our responsibility to get out there and do everything we can to help people act on our strategies. And if we don't do that, I think we're failing our audiences. So that's what
I would agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're calling to experts to start a new movement in the industry. Tell us a little bit more about that.
You know, it continues on what we were just talking about, Marshall. I think it's about us as experts taking responsibility for at least 50%. I've taken more than that in my life because I really believe it's my responsibility. I was trained as a psychotherapist, and during my training, we were told that if our patients weren't getting past their stuff, it was our fault, that we weren't asking the questions correctly, that we weren't moving with them, that we should never, ever, ever blame our patients. And in healthcare, doctors do that all the time. They blame their patients for not getting better instead of saying, well, what am I doing wrong that I'm not motivating my patient to take action? That's what's going wrong in the expert industry, and that's what I'm determined to fix.
Well, and I would agree with that. You know, part of the challenge that I see again and again is people, trainers, gurus, teachers, psychotherapists, psychologists, unwilling to tell the truth. And the truth is that in any relationship, it's a 50-50 proposition at best and at least at partial. And so I think that there's a lot of people, psychoanalysts. I wanted to be a psychologist when I was a kid, and the challenge I had with it was the way to earn a better living was not to heal people. It was to keep people coming back week after week after week after week. And the thing that eventually stopped me from going down that path was I had a girlfriend that was seeing a psychologist. And one day she came back and said, hey, I feel better. I don't think I really need to see you. And the psychologist lit into her and said, you're going to regress and you're going to go back and you're nowhere near the time you need to be. You need to see me, for another 10 weeks.
Oh, man.
And when they said that, when she reported it back to me, I said, oh, my gosh, that's horrible. And
yeah,
I see the same
really
thing. I see the same thing in the seminar business, that people are unwilling to tell people the bare bones bottom line of business is they're going to have to sell something sooner or later. And however they figure that out in their model is the piece that they've got to figure out. And so you see ads online, sell nothing, do nothing, make tons of money. And while there are some programs that they don't necessarily have to sell anything, those programs are few and far between and usually not what people are saying they are online. So I like your movement. Give us the websites again so people can pick up that report.
Okay, the report is available at shatteryourspeedlimits.com/worksheet. All over Shatter Your Speed Limits, there's video training. There's all kinds of stuff to help you in your personal and business life. If you're interested in learning more about the expert movement and how you can move people to action, you can go to movepeopletoaction.com.
All good stuff. Wendy, thanks so much for being on the show with us. The very, very best to you. I look forward to seeing you sometime in the very near future in person, and have an awesome day.
Marshall, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Hey, I'm Marshall Silver. We have a tour coming up. It's called the Missing Piece to Millions Tour. We've got Sir Richard Branson has agreed to come on as our keynote. We've got Kevin Harrington of Shark Tank, also going to be a part of the greatness. Montel Williams, we're in discussion with him, and so much more. More details to come. We do have to take a short break. So glad you're with me today. Remember to tell your friends to log on so they too can start earning scholarship dollars right here at Get Rich Radio.